Welcome to our Wednesday webinar here for March. We are joined today by Sam Huff. He's going to be giving us a realtor safety overview presentation. We had about 50 or so people register. We will probably have a few folks come in as the presentation goes along, so we'll just kind of let those folks in as we get started. But please keep your microphones muted during Sam's presentation. We'll be doing a quick little PowerPoint, and then at the end of the PowerPoint, he'll be taking questions. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask Sam, please go ahead and throw those in the chat. Or at the end, we'll reach that question and answer section. You can unmute your microphones at that time. Without further ado, Sam, thank you so much for leading us today on this Realtor Safety webinar. We're excited to hear what you have to say, and I'll turn the time over to you now.
Great. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I know a lot of you have probably heard this presentation before. The normal class is 3 hours. This is just the PowerPoint's going to be about 15 or 20 minutes, just kind of recapping some of the new emerging trends we're starting to see with real estate safety. Just a quick background for those of you that don't know me. I've been in real estate just about 20 years. I've also been involved in law enforcement for 33 years. Yes, I'm only 52 years old, but I started when I was 19. Can't do that anymore. I worked for the Garden City Police Department for several years, the Nampa Police Department for 24 years, and I've been at the Owyhee County Sheriff's Office now for 9 years. I've spent the majority of my career doing gangs, the SWAT team, and narcotics. So that's just a quick background about me. A little bit of history on this class. NAR decided to do a real estate safety nationwide after Beverly Carter was murdered in Arkansas in 2014. So I've been doing real estate safety in the state of Idaho and throughout the Pacific Northwest since 2015. The presentation we're going to run through here really quick. I presented at Region 12 conference in Coeur d'Alene here about a month ago. And it's just some emerging trends that are going on. And one thing that I wanted to kind of reiterate up there, and I'll just talk about it now, is that for several years after Beverly Carter was murdered, and for those of you that don't know that story, you'll have to Google it. We don't have time to get in that today. But real estate safety was kind of at the front of everybody's mind. And I kind of feel like the last couple of years that it's kind of been put on the back burner. With some of these statistics, you'll be able to see kind of what I'm talking about. So Nick, if you want to go ahead, since I'm computerly challenged, Nick is going to run my slideshow for me. So Nick, if you want to flip to the next one, we're great. So this was some statistics that I pulled up in, this is from January. So in the past 6 months within the 11 Western states, there have been 4 real estate agent predatory attacks. And what I mean by predatory is before, when agents were attacked, it was kind of a crime of opportunity. What you're seeing now is you're seeing the attacks are they're preparing for them way ahead of time. And we'll kind of get into that a little bit why down the road. But the other thing is this does not include the new trend of home invasion style robberies. And we'll talk about that in a minute too. Okay, Nick, there you go. For those of you that don't understand, or what they think, why is real estate risky? We're trying to help somebody buy probably the largest purchase of their life. And you guys know, with your buyers, your sellers, by the end of the transaction, most of the time you've kind of got to be friends. But we have that image of success. We do meet people at properties all the time that we don't know the history of the property. We don't know the layout of the property. We don't know anything about the clients. We do sit at open houses a lot by ourselves. We enter vacant properties that it's not so much of an issue now, but it was an issue with squatters. And I don't know if you guys have seen the news in the last couple of weeks. There's a nationwide trend with squatters, basically taking up residency in houses. So, it is something we're starting to see again. We do drive with strangers in our cars. We are multitasking. We shouldn't be texting and driving, but we probably are. We're always in the public eye, and there's multiple ways to make contact with us, cell phone, social media, things like that. And then we have that mentality is who would harm us? We don't have the mentality that we need to be kind of watching our back all the time. Nick, there you go. So these are the 4 assaults that have happened in 11 Western states in the last couple months. So the first one was in September 9th, 2022. There was a female agent doing an open house at a new construction model home. What she had done was, and this is kind of where it gets into the predatory stuff, we may cover this a little bit more later, but she had announced on social media, hey, this is where I'm going to be at, this Saturday, blah, 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 just like we all do. And so her assailant was able to go out there, scope out the neighborhood, look at things at different days, times, like as far as who's out and about, things like that, and even go out and scope the property. Then he was able to come in and, sexually assault her, unfortunately. Then the next one happened in September 15th in Las Vegas. Same type of scenarios advertised ahead of time on social media. This particular one, the assailant had actually came to the open house a week or so before, not only met her at the open house that she was sitting at, but also was able to tour the other homes. And as I recall, that he had left a window unlocked or something like that. And what he was able to do is go out there on that day, unlock the window, unlock the door, get the agent, basically force her to that other house. So he kidnapped her, took her to the other model home where he knew nobody would be coming in, and sexually assaulted her. The next one happened on October 19th, an open house. A guy came in with a pipe wrench and basically beat the male agent unconscious, and took his cell phone, his computer, cash, things like that. And then what happened, thank goodness they caught this guy in November of 2022. They were able to track a registered sex offender who had, when they arrested him, he had multiple online profiles, phone numbers, print media of female agents in California, as well as all their open houses. He basically had a notebook on each agent and what open houses they were at, things like that. So that's when we're talking about predatory issues. Okay, Nick. The unfortunate thing in 2021, that was our deadliest year for real estate for agents nationwide. The first one happened in Florida. Female listing agent came into the driveway. She was met outside by the tenant who was being evicted out, and he shot and killed her in a car. That's terrible. The next one that happened that in Virginia, a male real estate agent had, I can't remember if he had the house under contract or it had sold. Anyway, the assailant had the agent come over to the house and basically killed him, then killed himself because he felt that he had overpaid for the property. He was basically disgruntled with the property. On something like that, there's not a lot you can do. I mean, that's just an unfortunate thing. And then the other thing, the other one that happened was a disgruntled real estate agent went to his former brokerage. He was let go and went into there and basically did an active shooter scenario, went back in, shot and killed one of the broker owners in there, and then actually tracked the other one down in town and killed him or her before he was caught. So that's some pretty spooky stuff. Go ahead, Nick. So this is where we've talked about the crimes going from crimes of opportunity to predatory attacks. What was happening before, like in Beverly Carter's situation, was that the assailants, had her come to a listing that she had that they knew was vacant. It was overgrown with bushes, things like that, and so they were able to get her there, with the pretense they wanted to look at the house. Now what's happening is the agents, they're being tracked, by their online posts, because we're all doing, Facebook Live or Instagram or whatever it is. And we're live streaming where we're at. Well, that gives people time to come in and either ahead of time, because we're talking about open house opportunities that we've got coming up this weekend. That gives the assailant time to go out and scope out the entire area, as well as potentially the property. If he's able to get in there with another real estate agent, or even you. So it's just things you got to look at. Not saying we got to stop doing social media, but it's just things we got to be aware of, and we always have to be aware of our situation, know what's going on around us. Go ahead, Nick. This is the new one of the new crazy trends that's going on right now. So Region 13 is California. I'm sure you guys have seen this on the news where they're robbing stores this way. Well, they're starting to rob only existing resale homes, because what they're doing is they're going after the jewelry, the guns, prescription medication, things like that. But what's happening is multiple assailants are swarming the house. One or two of them are detaining the real estate agent, where he or she cannot make a phone call. The rest of them are going through, and they're going through that house in just a matter of minutes, and just basically robbing a blind. You guys have probably all seen that on the news. There's been about 13 cases documented in California, and as we all know, usually trends kind of migrate west. So I fully intend to see that flowing into our region, which is Region 12. We've seen a couple things in Boise, particularly. This has been in the last few years, but where an assailant, one or two people will come in, talk to the agent sitting the open house. And again, this is only on resales. They'll distract the on-site agent and you think you've got a legitimate buyer there. They're asking the right questions. They're talking about being pre-qualified. Well, then what happens is somebody else comes in with a couple, and maybe 5 minutes later and says, "Hey, I'm Sam Huff with Berkshire Hathaway. I'm just going to show this house around." Well, we're talking to legit qualified buyers, so we're going to let another agent just do their job. And what they're doing is they're actually just going through the house and robbing it, and then they leave before we even have a clue what's going on. So that's one thing that has happened here several times. I have not heard of it recently, but it has happened multiple times in the last few years in our particular area here. These are just some statistics. So most crimes occur on Tuesday and Thursday and in the afternoon. And the reason that is because Tuesday and Thursday are the least amount of days that people are out looking at property. It's the least chance the bad guy would get caught doing his crime. Most common places a vacant model home or vacant property where the agent's doing an open house, something like that. Second most common place is an open house. The one thing with an open house is that if they haven't kind of done their prep work on there, they do take the a chance of somebody walking in. And then robbery is always the number one intention, followed by sexual assault. And that would happen just if usually it's a crime of opportunity. They're able to get the robbery done quickly, and they realize, hey, nobody's coming, it's quiet, and it's just an opportunity. So that's an unfortunate thing we have to deal with too. Okay, Nick? So unfortunately, we do have to talk about this. I know some of you have heard the story before with our brokerage here in the Valley. We had a guy come in about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, that was running from the U.S. Marshals Service and ended up hiding in our office, and we ended up having to get him out of here. That's pretty spooky, because most of our offices are open and accessible to everybody. And then obviously in New York with that agent that was fired, he was disgruntled and came back and killed the two owner brokers. So if you're in an active shooter situation, which is something that seems to occur almost daily anymore, you need to try to run to a safe place. You need to hide and deny access. If you have the training and access to a weapon, you can try to fight your way out, but that's a long topic for another day. But whatever you're going to do, don't delay. You need to choose the best option and go for it. And then you need to think like a survivor. And you got to try to manage your stress. It's a terrible situation, but if you think you're going to die, chances are you're going to die, and you will not be able to think your way out of that scenario. Or that situation. So you need to be able to think like a survivor. And then basically you want to know the warning signs of your coworkers. Are they irritable? Are they easily agitated? Obviously that's real estate agents every day, but take that. Just kind of watch them. You guys can tell if something's going on with somebody. They have recent personal problems. And frankly, that last statistic at the bottom there, 50% of shooters have told someone about their intention, or they posted online. So if that does happen, don't ignore it. Tell somebody about it. It might prevent a shooting. All right, Nick? You guys have probably, those of you taking the 3-credit class have talked about this. You can't take the motive out of the bad guy, but if you take the opportunity out of the equation, you remove the likelihood, you lessen the likelihood that a crime will take place. So basically just by simple things, knowing your surroundings, having your head on a swivel, maybe doing a little background check on your clients before you go show them a house, know who you're talking to. And just making yourself not look like a victim. If you got your head down, you're looking at your cell phone or you're looking at some listing paperwork and all your hands are full, that's an opportunity for a guy. So you need to try to take that opportunity out of the equation. Okay. All right, the next thing is just listen to your gut. We do have that built-in safety sense. If we feel like something's not right, listen to yourself and challenge yourself. Don't just assume everything is okay. If something doesn't feel right, listen to yourself. Don't be complacent. If something's not right, don't just ignore it and think it's going to go away. You need to try to decide what's going on and fight through that. And then if you're in a bad situation, are you going to fight or are you going to run? Obviously, running is always the best situation because you frankly don't know if that bad guy's got a weapon. You don't know his level of maybe self-defense training or hand-to-hand combat or anything like that. So it's always best to just run away if possible. And don't hesitate. If you're going to do it, act decisively and run. Or if you're going to fight, act decisively and fight. All right, Nick. So we're just going to touch on this really quick. This is always a hot button topic. A couple of things with guns and real estate is while I'm a huge Second Amendment person, love guns, have lots of guns. If you talk to my wife, she probably thinks I have too many guns. But in real estate, I'm not sure that's the best option. A few reasons why is your errors and omission insurance will not cover you. So if you are involved in some kind of situation, your errors and omission insurance is not going to cover you. Your homeowner's insurance needs to cover you. So you better make sure you have a policy for that. You may never have to shoot somebody, but if you even threaten somebody with a gun, you can be charged with a felony and potentially convicted. If you just show them a gun and say you're going to use it in a threatening manner, that's an aggravated assault. Obviously, if you shoot somebody with it, that's an aggravated battery. Both are felonies. So just a few things to think about. In all my years of law enforcement, I've used pepper spray way more than I've ever used my gun. So I think pepper spray is probably the best option. If you are going to carry a gun, obviously you got to comply with state and local laws. Idaho does not have a concealed weapons law anymore. However, it still doesn't mean you can carry a gun on school property, federal buildings, things like that. And then what I would recommend is do lots and lots and lots of training with that gun. Not just shooting it, but practice carrying it, practice pulling it out of your purse, out of a holster if you're carrying it on your person. If it's under a shirt, you need to practice that. Then you need to practice that if something goes wrong with the weapon, how to fix it and get back in the fight. Like I said, I don't carry a gun in real estate. I'm not saying I don't have one close a lot of the time, but I personally don't carry one on my person. And I've got thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of training in firearms. I like pepper spray. It works 99.9% of the time. But this is a whole topic for another day we can talk about in another class. So go to the next one, Nick. This is a couple of things to think about. If you ever use your gun in real estate, whether it's you're threatening somebody, which you never want to threaten somebody with a gun, it's a last line of defense. But what was the threat? Were you protecting yourself or were you protecting property? Did you attempt other methods? Did you say, hey, let me go or I'm going to shoot you? Did you try to flee? Did you have pepper spray? Did you issue warnings? What's your level of experience in firearms training? Did you just go buy a gun and start carrying it, or have you gone to some concealed weapons classes? Have you been training with it? If you do all that stuff, document it. That way it can be admitted into court later on. The other thing is did you let the suspect escape? That sounds silly, but if you're holding a suspect and he wants to escape and you end up shooting him or something like that, you could have issues. And if you fired, did you attempt life-saving methods on that person? The crazy thing is if you don't anymore, then even though you just shot that person for some reason, you could personally be in trouble for that. So think about some of that stuff. Okay, Nick. Again, you may not be found criminally liable because that is beyond a reasonable doubt, but we all remember O.J. Simpson. The civil trial is just the preponderance of evidence. And since they all know we, always get big commissions on everything, that they're going to come after you civilly. It always sounds silly that the bad guy is going to come after you, but they do come after you. Because again, we've got that image of success. We've got the nice watches, the fancy cars, the computers, the cell phones, all that. And they're going to try to come after you. So just remember, if you do happen to use your firearm, you go to criminal court, you get found not guilty or you're acquitted, does not mean they won't come after you civilly. So you need to think about that too. Again, have the insurance to cover that. Okay, here's a couple of smartphone safety apps that I would recommend. So the nice thing is that our agents nationwide, with the NAR survey, about 44% of the agents are using these now. That's gone up considerably in the last few years, so I'm excited to see that. Stay Safe's a great one. It provides a GPS tracker and it notifies like a bunch of pre-selected people in case of emergency. It also lets the closest dispatch center know where you're at. It provides a GPS location as well as a physical address if possible. I believe there is a fee for that one. Kite string works similar to that. Stay Safe, you can actually send an alert if you're in trouble. It also has the same features Kite string is, where if you're feeling uncomfortable about a situation, you can pre-select your phone to text you, let's say in 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it may be. If you don't respond to that text message within a certain amount of time, you can pre-select that for 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Then it automatically notifies law enforcement and your emergency contact information. React Mobile works the same way, but you actually have to physically unlock your phone and you only get 2 pre-selected emergency contacts. Okay, Nick? Forewarn, for those of you that have never used this, I know a couple of people in my office have this. This is an amazing app. I believe it's $9 a month, something like that. But you can do background checks on your clients, and it's very, very accurate. I was teaching a full safety class down in Eastern Idaho, and we put in my just my cell phone number. I was amazed at the information it pulled up on me. It's yeah, Christy Devin asked me down in the comments. She's in our office. She uses it. I guess it's $20 now. But it's an amazing app. I'm thoroughly impressed with that one. Okay, Nick. This is all common sense stuff, but if you don't know who you're dealing with as far as the client, don't rush out just to go show that property. In this day and age, everybody will wait. It doesn't hurt to do a little bit of due diligence on your person, whether it's the Forewarn app. If they have a lender, call the lender, get some information on them. If they're a referral, find out who they are. Do some cyber stalking, get on social media, Google them, go to iCourts for Idaho. I'm sure the other states have them too, but if you go into iCourts, you can find out all kinds of information on people. Thing at open houses is we all do them and they seem to be coming back right now, but don't be a sitting duck. Know that house inside and out. Get there early. Make sure that you know which side the gate's on in the backyard in case you have to run out the back, and leave a couple doors unlocked in the back. Maybe the sliding door, if there's a door in the master bedroom or another place, in case you have to run and get out of a situation, you want to know which door is open and you don't have to be fighting with that door to get it open if an attacker's coming on you. The other thing is when you're showing properties, don't keep both your hands full of paperwork and phones. I always try to keep your strong hand free. That way, if somebody does attack you, at least you've got something to push them away, deflect, things like that. I know you got to have stuff in your hands, but just don't keep them both full. The other thing is don't turn your back on clients. A good friend of mine, you guys have heard me talk about this in the full class. She was showing property to clients in Boise, I believe. This has been years ago. Had the house under contract, been with them for 6 months, knew who they were inside and out. The husband calls, wants to go look at the property one more time. They're in contract, says he wants to measure something or something like that. gets to the property, says the wife can't come, the agent doesn't think anything about it, gets her into the back of the house, lets her go into the master bedroom first, then he violently tries to sexually assault her. Thank goodness she was able to fight her way out of that. But the thing that sucks is she went in first, so not only did she have to fight through him, then she had to continue to fight with him while she got the door open to flee. So it just takes, it's those few seconds that can mean, life or death. So just think about some of that stuff. When I walk up to a house to unlock the lockbox, I constantly kind of glancing behind me, looking at my clients, because Beverly Carter, she was killed, or actually she ended up dying later, but they came up behind her. She was open the lockbox and hit her in the back of the head with either a rock or some concrete that was laying on the property. So when I'm walking up to the house, I never turn my back on my client. Yeah, even if I'm just glancing over my shoulder, kind of walking sideways. Same thing when I get to the lockbox. I pop the lock on the lockbox, kind of stand it to the side where I can keep an eye on everybody. Then I unlock the door and open it and let them walk in first. So just some simple things I do. And I'm not telling you how to change your business or anything, but just a few things to think about. Same thing when you're walking out to a parking lot at night, just pause for a second. Take a look around and see who's out there. See if you see anything that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Those are just some simple things. Okay, Nick? So just last couple slides here, the purpose of talking about all these crimes is not to just freak you out and make you feel vulnerable, but it's to raise our awareness out there. And as an industry of a whole, like I said, I think this real estate safety was at the forefront for years, and I think it's kind of dwindled off the last couple of years. You can see by the crazy things that have happened the last 2 or 3 years that maybe some of us never even heard about. So I would like to see, some real estate safety, protocols, or at least talking about it, kind of come back to the forefront in our offices and in our industry. Okay, Nick? And there you go. There is a look at that. 20-minute slideshow in almost 30 minutes. So there's all my contact information there. If you guys have questions or anything, I'm happy to do that. And then obviously we'll stay on here for a little while and answer any questions that I can answer for you guys.
Well, Sam, thanks a bunch. I'll leave this slide up for just a second so folks can get your contact info. But in the meantime, does anybody have a question for Sam they'd like to ask? See, we had something pop up in the chat. Well, that's to thank you. Well, I have some questions for Sam, so I'm not going to let him off that easy. Give me 1 second.
All right, what are your questions, Nick?
Let's see. In your experience, what are some of the most effective self-defense techniques realtors can use if they find themselves in a dangerous situation? I know you mentioned the, never turn your back to someone on the way in, but is there anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I think carrying like pepper spray works really well as far as just personal self-defense, because that is an immediate effect. And I in my whole career, I've only had it not work just one time. And I've sprayed lots of people on all kinds of different illicit substances, from being drunk to just crazy to being on all kinds of narcotics. So I think that's the worst thing. I don't turn my back on people. I always try to keep my strong hand free. You don't want to go out there looking all tactical, but I mean, there's I think those are just some simple things you can do. The guns, that's a whole topic for another time. But I think in something simple, just having, if you have your head on a swivel, you're aware of your surroundings. If I'm walking out to a parking lot and I've got my head on a swivel, and you're walking out to a parking lot, Nick, and you've got, maybe your backpack slung over one shoulder, you're texting on your phone, and you've got some files under an arm, but I got my head up and I'm looking around, the bad guy's not going to come to me because he can't get up close to me. He's going to come up and attack you. So I think those are just some simple things, that we all need to keep in mind.
Two things. One, I wanted to mention that Idaho REALTORS still does provide a subscription for the Safe Showings app for our members. And I'll actually, here in a moment, I'll throw a link to that in the chat in case anyone is interested in, finding out some more information about Safe Showings. It's kind of like some technology and some, resources available to our members. But, one thing that makes me think of, and that's kind of something we've discussed with Safe Showings in the past, is You know, do you have any tips for how realtors communicate effectively with their clients about safety concerns? You know, sometimes people are a little uncomfortable making their clients give them an ID or anything like that, or kind of talking about what their, you know, safety concerns are. Do you have any tips or suggestions for how folks can navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, me personally, and I'm not telling anybody how to do their business, I'm not going to ask anybody for their ID. I'm just not. But I'm also going to do a lot of due diligence before I take somebody out. Frankly, I don't have time, and I don't want to waste my time showing somebody houses. They're not qualified. So, but you know, if they're not pre-qualified, I'm not taking them out. If they're pre-qualified, I'm going to call their lender before I show them property. I'm going to ask them some questions, and I'm going to do a little bit of stalking. I'm going to go find Christy in our office and look at her forewarn app and just see what I can find on that. That's just a few of the things that I do. I mean, I understand people wanting to take photos of IDs and stuff. That's just not something that I do, or I think that potentially could make some clients uncomfortable. However, I think it's just all how you handle your business and how you approach it. So hopefully that answers your question. I just saw a comment up there, or a question from Ben. His question is, do you see physical self-defense classes being offered in the future for CE? I don't personally see that, Ben. I think that there is a lot of liability to that. If you get the wrong instructor in there, agent's going to get hurt. You're going to tear up muscles, tendons, ligaments, things like that. And 1, 2, 3 hour class is not going to be enough. One of the things I would recommend is, if you're going to take maybe your board or your office, you hire somebody who you trust. Learn just 1 or 2 simple basic techniques, and then practice them. Just keep practicing them. If you practice them, they become second nature. But I'm not saying never, but I don't see that coming in the future.
And then Sam, before we go too far away from this, Sherry Griffin asked for us to share those apps again.
Sure.
So we have the Safe Showings app. I'm just going to share this slide one more time. Okay. With the ones that Sam mentioned. So we have Stay Safe, Kite String, and React to Mobile. Take your notes on those. So if you are interested in looking into those, you can. Also, Forewarn is the app he mentioned for background checks. So hopefully that kind of helps give you guys some resources to look into if you're interested in. And I did put the link to the Safe Showing sign up in our chat, which I believe has a little bit of similar features to Stay Safe. I'm not certain. I'm not as familiar with Stay Safe, but just kind of the way that was described. So if that is something that you are interested in trying out and haven't had a chance to look into yet, make sure to check out the Safe Showings app that we provide. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this here. Sam, I have another question for you. Okay. One thing that I think people don't always focus on is kind of the resources that real estate brokerages and associations themselves play for realtor safety. So, Idaho Realtors offers Safe Showings app. Are there any other, roles or ideas that you want to recommend to realtors about brokerages or associations that can help them stay safe, and just kind of how they would facilitate those conversations with their brokerages?
I think you're right. I think people don't take advantage of what maybe the brokerages have to offer. Whether it even be like in all of our offices, we're streaming this live. It's just a quick, class, maybe get everybody thinking about about some safety stuff. But, you look around and there's not that many agents taking advantage of this type of stuff. So I think take advantage of what your brokerage has to offer. The other thing is that if your brokerage isn't offering that much stuff, why don't you be the leader? Go out there and let's do a safety class. You get 3 CE credits for it, or let's find somebody around there that'll teach maybe a couple simple jiu-jitsu moves, or, how to break out of a chokehold, or, something like that. And then practice those, be the leader and practice those at your sales meetings every week.
Yeah, for sure. We have a comment from Caroline Nutter in the chat. The Sun Valley Board of Realtors Association had the owners of the academy come to our local GMM and present some self-defense moves. The association paid for our members to attend if they wanted. If they wanted membership afterwards, that was on their dime. So that's a good example of what some associations are doing to help kind of promote safety in their community.
Yeah, I think that's great.
One of the co-owners was actually a realtor in Hawaii. So she had that realtor safety training, and they what we did was expose this new academy that opened up to our membership, which it was a mutual benefit to both of us. So they offered a pretty good price for us to offer to our members if they wanted a 1 hour free self-defense class, that they could do that. So I found that was a huge success.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. 'Cause we're thinking about doing one at our school, just seeing if there was already something that was here locally. Are you in Sun Valley up there with Joel with 100 Jiu-Jitsu, or was it a different school?
That's correct. It was with Joel. Yeah.
I love Joel.
Let's see. Do we have any other questions anyone would like to share with us today? Sam, I had one question I thought might be kind of helpful. Are there any resources for, some of these trends or, news reports on some of these safety concerns that you would recommend people keep an eye out for or look for in their daily lives?
If you go to nar.com and to their safety thing, there's a lot of information on there. There's a lot of safety videos. There is also Dave Lagaz from New York. He's a retired NYPD guy. He wrote a book called Safe Selling, and I believe it's free if you go to the Beverly Carter website, and he's on their foundation. He's a good friend of mine. It's a good book, and it may be a couple bucks, but it's well worth a read. He wrote that a few years ago. And I mean, I'm on the NAR Safety Council, so one of the things I'm kind of hoping to do this year is get more of the emerging trends out there quicker to everybody. Maybe, instead of having them go find it, let's try to put it out there in a newsletter or, things like that, things we're seeing.
Awesome. All right. Last chance for questions. If anyone has anything they're dying to ask Sam, please go ahead and share that now. I will go ahead and Sam, I'll throw your card up one last time on the screen so people can get your contact information.
Okay.
Oh, 1 second. My whole device here is slowing down. Oh, so Ben asked if we will get this presentation in email. Yes, we will be sending that out here later today. And yeah, this whole recording will be available to you to review and share with other people in your area. So let's see. Sam, here is your slide one last time. If you guys would like to contact Sam to ask him some more safety tips in the future, here's how you can do so. Sam, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much for making the time to talk to our members. And
appreciate you having me.
We appreciate your help in helping us make sure our members are safe. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. And last chance for questions. I think we're good. Alrighty, Sam. Thank you so much.
Okay.
You guys take
Thanks
care.
a lot.